So how do you attract new business so you constantly don't have to chase it? Hi, I'm Mike Cuevas, the Real Estate Marketing Dude, and this podcast is all about building a strong personal brand people have come to know, like, trust, and most importantly, refer. But remember, it is not their job to remember what you do for a living. It's your job to remind them. Let's get started. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Marketing Dude podcast. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. We're going to be talking to one of my good friends. He's also a client, but this guy's not a real estate agent. This guy I've seen him over the last 3 years really build his brand, build his business. And he's a walking example of everything we talk about on the show on a weekly basis because he actually did it. And it didn't happen overnight, but I can tell you that, I'll let him tell you, but I'm going to assume that he's going to be happy he did start doing it, because one of the things that people have when they're like, all right, I want to get to video, and I'm with you guys, like, yeah, I want to get on video, but I don't want to wait until it works. I just sort of want to fast forward right to that point. But isn't that how everything in life really goes? Everybody wants to take the fast track and everyone wants to take the shortcut to success. But you guys, that shit's in the movies. That's just not how it really works. Like, if you want to build your brand, you got to put in hard work to do it. And sometimes that's in creating content. Other times it's in doing this, but regardless of what you're going to do, it takes work and it takes time. So without further ado, we're going to go introduce one of the top mortgage brokers in the whole damn fucking country, in my opinion. He's creative and whatnot, but I love his brand because he's real, and that's why he attracts. So without further ado, we're going to bring on Denver banker Bob, Mr. Bob Friel. What's up, Bobby?
Hey, what's happening, Mikey? Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir, dude. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit tell everyone who the fuck you are, what you've been doing a little bit, and then I want to get right into your story, because I think what people are going to get most out of this is that you started at like nothing and then you just built it up. I remember when you first got your loan license and you called me up. Like, hey, I got my lender license. I think you were trying to get my referral business back then.
Way back, yeah. And that was at the tail end of the short sale boom.
Yeah,
that you guys had going. So yeah, so I was in banking for quite a number of years now. I worked at Chase, big institution, had all sorts of different licenses to sell securities and so on. Worked with people's like banking, credit, sold various securities over time, did all sorts of different, business banking and personal banking and that type of thing. And lived through the last crash, which was a nightmare at the retail level. So once, unfortunately, my mom passed away, so I kind of left Chase, and then was just really kind of in the dumps for a couple of years, honestly. Just living off savings, partying a little bit, probably too much, playing a bunch of golf, and just like kind of lost. And luckily enough, Fed Savings, which I know you know about them, they're a family mortgage company based out of Chicago. They took me in, started training me, even though I was working, side jobs and side hustles, for the first about 5 years doing this. And since I moved here to Denver, a little over, 6 years ago, had to restart the brand. Obviously that was when you were kicking off Real Estate Marketing Dude, and kind of took that to heart and just started running with it. Now, let's see.
Today you own your own mortgage company.
Yeah, now I'm a mortgage broker. Yep.
How many units did you do last year?
We personally did. So mind you, I came from a federally chartered bank, so I have a very vast network in all 50 states. So we personally did over 100 units for my little company here. I'm the only loan officer, and I was training my 2 staff members all of last year. And then I personally did, presentations, helped buyers, helped people wanting to refinance. We referred out to my old team and other mortgage brokers in my network, nearly 45 transactions. So all in total, nearly 150 transactions total of last year. First year as a mortgage, as an owner, which comes with its whole other, bag of tricks that you got to learn.
And here's what's really interesting about Bob, you guys, is that the vast majority, we get all kinds of shapes and sizes, and we talk to different people every week. But what's most impressive about you is that the vast majority of real estate mortgage lenders or loan officers, whatever you want to call them, vast majority of them rely on realtor referrals for the majority of their business, like to the tune of over 90%. And how much of your business is reliant upon referrals from other real estate agents?
So of all 150 let's call it 147 transactions, 16 came
Amazing.
through.
That's absolutely amazing. So you've literally created your own way, your own business, which is super duper rare. If you're a lender listening to this show, if you're a realtor, just think about your lenders. You give way more. They take way more than they ever technically ever give back to us. But Bob, you sort of flipped the script on that. You actually give out more referrals than you get in, like way more. And that keeps you to have the upper hand. And what people don't realize, the same way that people choose a lender is the same way they choose a realtor.
Correct.
A lot of times people actually will reach the lender first if they're really doing their homework outright, because people think realtors just there to go take them in the car and open and close doors. Whereas a lot of people, before they get to that stage, are, how much can I afford? What area should I be living in? And all of that, right?
Yeah, totally. I agree. So I kind of remember your classes that you were launching with your original website. I kind of took that information at heart, where just pretty much like any business, within the first year or two, most people fail, right? So as a lender, historically, even when I was being taught like, hey, go, you have to talk to 20 realtors a day. You never know what their volume is, what they're doing to attract their clients, how they refer out. There's a lot of effort that goes involved there. So if I can make a video or something that says, how much house can I afford, that gets 300,000 views on YouTube every month, well, why not go right to the source? And then that way I can pick and choose who I do work with when it comes to realtors, and then help them grow their brand and really keep it in house, because ultimately it comes down to the better that you treat the client, the more that you're giving up front, content, knowledge, just straight shooting, not trying to be, commission breath or salesy. Those people are referring you like instantly,
Let's start with your brand first, because same like you call yourself Denver Banker Bob.
Yeah, Bob the Banker.
Bob the Banker. If you look at Bob right now, like if you guys are watching this on video, Bob's got long hair. He's got this mustache.
It's a mullet.
He's got a mullet. He's got sunglasses on his head. Like Bob's a total Brody. Okay. And most people would be like, it's similar to what I did when I rebranded into the dude. They're like, oh, you're fucking crazy. You're not going to attract people. You're not going to like, people aren't going to think you're professional. And I bet you probably had some people telling you the same thing when you put a cartoon as your logo and you're in your little bow tie. But what people don't realize is that's the brand. That's what people are attracted to. A lot of lenders would be too scared to ever put themselves in that position. Realtors too, but more so on the lending side, because I believe the lending side is still suited up more so than the real estate agent side. They're both getting more personable. Right. In the way we interact with clients and whatnot. But let's start with that, with the brand, and tell us how you, Denver Banker Bob, or Banker Bob, then Bob the Banker. If you look at his branding on his website, you'll see it's very friendly. It's very outgoing. You're very personable. Some of the content you create, you're wearing a cutoff shirt. Right? Yeah, you're wearing, it's like a Dago, like he's wearing wife beater. He's just creating content raw ways. And let's start with that on the brand. When you first started doing that versus where you're at today, what's the difference?
Good question. So Bob the Banker kind of started coming from Fed Savings, my team, they really liked it. I think it kind of came from Bob the Builder, like the cartoon character. So we kind of ran with that. I got with your team actually, and then the team at the bank, and they said, okay, yeah, it's okay for you to, create your brand. And this was a little bit before like all of the regulations came down too, right? So that's where it kind of started. And the one of my past clients actually came up with the logo. Little bit of help for her for doing the transactions, because she was in digital marketing space or whatever. And really just started to come up with our voice. And our voice is, most people freak out when it comes to borrowing or buying a house, right? So like if you're more relaxed, you're more just chilled out, it makes everything easier. And it really doesn't matter what you look like, right? I don't think. It's just, that's just my take. So, if people want me to wear a bow tie, sure, I'll wear a bow tie. I don't really care.
Well, here, let me just stop you right there. Here's the difference between Bob and everyone else. Bob doesn't give a fuck what other people say. That's the difference. And because of that, it's a lot more attractive because authenticity comes out.
Right.
Bob's just like, I'm going to be me, you be you. And if we sing Kumbaya together, so be it. But if we don't, that's cool too. Right. I mean, it's sort of like the whole positioning right there, which is really powerful when it comes to marketing. The biggest thing I think people hate is being sold. And it's very obvious when when your commission breath is coming out and you're trying to sell a little bit too hard. Let's get into your content creation and how you built the brand. So there, you guys, there's a difference between a brand and then building a brand. Like the brand is, okay, let me explain it this way. If I was opening up a restaurant, the brand is the menu, the ambiance, the experience, the way the chairs are, the way the pictures are on the walls. It's the feel of the whole place. It's the style, right? It's the type of food they serve and all of that. But your branding strategy is everything you do to get people back there, to get them back into the restaurant. So Bob's developed Denver banker Bob, but then Bob also had to go out and create a marketing plan, because just because you built a brand, like you can have the best brand in the world, if no one knows about it, it's not going to work. The only way you build your brand is consistent communication, the same audience over time, or create content or tell other people about it. And video is just the fastest way to do that. So you brought this idea to me. You wanted to build out a course,
Right.
You wanted to build out a home buyer course. So walk us through where that came from and all of that stuff. And let's see what happened.
So when you're starting out and you're relying on the conversion of a consumer to the transaction to get paid, where I came up with the course, in the material, in my presentation, like all of the free giveaways that we have that we've already developed for them over the last few years, it's all about conversion. So why would I want to work with lead generation or something along those lines, where you're just pulling in a bunch of software and figuring out, where these people might fit and trying to get them on your calendar or whatever. So if you're making the content like your team has helped, and I have an actual course in a quality presentation that converts the person from, start to finish, that's way I would rather spend that time doing that than spending so much more time on, learning Facebook ads or whatever the case might be, right? So creating something that is easily to digest from a consumer perspective and giving them the tools to make educated decisions is really where all the course came from. And why? Because I don't have to keep talking about the same stupid thing over and over. A mortgage is a mortgage. Numbers are numbers. Your credit score is your credit score. Like nothing changes if I'm talking to you, Mike, or if I'm talking to somebody on the team or Joe Schmo from off the street, right? It's all the same. It's all the same numbers, right? But how can I present what I know and what I've seen over the last, decade of working with consumers and their finances, and present that for them to say, hey, you're doing well in certain areas, you're not doing well in others. How can we progress and, have you go on an upward trajectory, whether it's buying a house now or buying a house in 8 months? It doesn't matter, right? You want that person to know, like, love, and trust you by the time they're under contract, because you really don't want to be selling or educating somebody during the transaction. You just want them to be like, cool, I need to do this. Great. See ya. Right. Sign this, sign that, go do this, go do that, whatever the case is. And you just have less pushback, and it's just much simpler, in my opinion. So that's kind of where it came from for the conversion piece of it.
And you just didn't want to say the same thing over and over. So you built out a course, and this thing turned into a whole course. Now it's called the Ultimate Homebuyer Experience. Mm-hmm. And so think about it as Bob took on a content marketing approach to homebuyer education, right? And financing. And then what you're saying is that, so you're telling me, Bob, that if you do videos that teach people what you do and how the mortgage process works, how would you use those videos? So you created the content for it. Great. So now what?
Yeah. So it really comes down to getting it in front of the person. So obviously it has to live in your digital footprint. I just created a real simple playlist on YouTube. I have a template email that goes out. I don't use a CRM at this point. It's actually being built out now. So hopefully, that helps with some of the busy work. But really, it's just figuring out your best content, because you do have to present it like in person live to see where people glaze over. And once you figure that out, okay, that needs to be tweaked a little bit or whatever. But you have some core content that you always use, and you don't shove it down someone's face or whatever, but you do share that data and information so that when you do have a little bit more in-depth conversation, or it might curve to mortgage insurance, or it might curve to, name something.
And you have a video for everything.
Yeah, right. Basically.
Well, FHA versus conventional. There's all these questions, and then what you'll do is like you send them the video, and then you follow back up with them.
Correct. Yeah, in a perfect world, after this year, my team will do that, and I'm just going to present.
I'm going to go chill on the beach.
Well, yeah. Like my big thing is I like creating content, I like presenting, and I like, helping people grow their net worth. Like that's what it's all about. Like getting a freaking loan, conventional or FHA, who really cares, right? Like when it comes down to it, that's not even what it's about, right? It's about, hey, how can we take you from where you are now? And then if we have our yearly, follow-up or our 5-year follow-up or whatever, have we done our job and help you, get better? Tons of people have debt, tons of people have, crummy credit scores, and it's that people live paycheck to paycheck. That's a fact. It's not, it's not news, but I think people in my position are far too nervous to like be that coach or be that support staff to say, hey, listen, you're not doing it right. That's okay. Where do you fall short? And you just ask a question like, how much have you saved this year? Most people have no clue, right? Yeah, so like, that's where the content can help like open somebody up, because they can watch a 2-minute video on how credit works, or watch a few minute video on what your debt to income ratio is.
What percentage do you think of people actually did watch the videos, or does it even matter?
I don't think it matters. I mean, you can see there's a bunch of my videos that have 1,000 views, some that have 5,000 views now, some that have like 25. But the point is, if you have 80 videos, people might watch 5 out of the 80. So like, the point is they want.
It's positioning.
Correct.
This is all positioning. You're exactly right. No one's going to hire you because of what you do. They're going to hire you because of how you do it. And if I want you guys to put yourselves in the consumer shoes. So here you go, this Denver banker Bob guy. You see this dude, you get a cartoon impression of him. He gets referred over. You're like, who the fuck is this guy? Right? I'm just like, well, who is this guy? I'm not going to take this guy seriously. But the truth is that the person that because Bob has like 30 videos or 80 videos or 100 videos up on his site, do I as a consumer really have to guess and wonder if Bob knows what he's doing? No, my barriers go down a little bit because he has all that content. Now, if Bob has 0 content up on his site, no channel or anything like that, now I'm more like, hey, who the hell is this dude? How long has this guy been doing mortgages? Right. Nobody asks you how long you've been in the business, do they, Bob?
Not really.
But if you didn't have the content, how many did they ask you when you first started though in mortgage? I remember my first client I had.
It's more of like a realtor coaching somebody to ask. Like you could literally like answer the phone, and you're gonna get, what are your rates? What are the costs? And you're like, well, the rate is anything you want. So let's, so what are you talking about? And then the cost is 0. I don't charge anything, right? I'm a broker. None of that even matters. So the historical way of the referral, right? Most realtors, in my opinion, they don't sit down with their lender partners enough to like understand kind of that back office stuff, where you can, even if like a client is buying somebody's house, the listing agent asks the same questions. Well, did you run AUS and blah, blah, blah? You're like, of course I did. Like, what are you talking about? Right. Yeah. So there's just the generic questions that I think that everybody is kind of ingrained to ask, even though with the CFPB and the Dodd-Frank rules and everything that happened from the last housing crash, everything's the same. It's like literally everything's the same, barring a few different points throughout the process. But it's like you can get through that pretty fast with video, getting people's barriers to drop. And, I can't do my job if somebody doesn't open up,
Right. Well, and you don't have to, some videos you'll use over and over again. That's what people don't realize. Like some of these, like your core videos will be the least engaged on social media.
They're so
right?
boring.
Like you're not going to his Bob will put out a video of like FHA versus conventional, right? Like you're going to get 100 views on social media, right? Right. And most people would be like, oh man, that video didn't work. But that's not why you're creating it. Why are you creating it?
Oh my gosh. but that's the thing. So if you start doing video regularly, and quite honestly, like there's been 2 years that we've been doing video, but really from the last like 5 months that we've been doing it every week with the team, right? So it doesn't matter if people watch it or comment or whatever. I'm not even on social media hardly at all unless I'm posting a video. Like that was one of my things from last year. I said I'm not doing it. Like it just makes my brain explode. From a personal perspective,
especially nowadays.
Yeah, right. It's so polarized. But the fact is, people text and call you all the time saying, "Yo, dude, I saw your video. What should I do?" Like, you know, and a lot of those people, you know, from last year would apply and we do their loan, and it's easy. It's an easy sell. Like, and you're working with people that know you already, so it's not like a weird thing if you know, send them a silly video text on their phone, be like, "Yo, Mikey, thanks for reaching out. Appreciate it." And like, you know, that's what people like. I think that's just my thing.
I think one of my favorite videos you did was when you dressed up as Randy Macho Man Savage. And then the mortgage man, and Bob did it with his shirt off. He was it was a case study. Yeah. And he just talked about how he body slammed that mortgage and he crushed it. But that video, didn't that lead to a bunch of clients? Like, what happened with that one?
That I still probably have people, I don't know, I probably got 15 transactions from that.
Just that one video. It was just so funny. But here's my point is that you guys, it's all about multi-purposing your content too, and having a strategy with it. Most people nowadays, you probably see this, Bob, in your market, is a lot of people will create videos to check the box to say they did it and they feel better. It's really similar. What I'm seeing is very similar to a lot of people buy leads. Like people will buy leads, but then they don't follow up on them just because their leads are coming in. They feel like they're doing their job. And even though they're just throwing their money out the window because they don't have the necessary follow-up, better yet, they're not even responding to the leads that are opting in. Right. So it's similar with video. You see people will create a video and they won't fully distribute it. And then they're not maximizing it. So you have to, there's always strategy, guys. It's a matter of what you're doing. But Bob, you ran out of content. You ran out of mortgage content. What'd you do next?
I partnered with a buddy that is doing real estate on the side, Tony, and we started to do like living in Denver, moving to Denver series. And actually, as a matter of fact, Tony's got like 10 buyers right now going after
from those series.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So, and now what you're doing is that now Tony's taking the real estate end and now you got a referral source of deals you manufactured because you know how to create content and now you're leveraging those skills.
Yeah. With the intent that, you know, we'll start a mortgage or a real estate company and then we'll have, you know, buyer's agents that want to learn and work and do the same thing that we do. And here's the thing, the agent we just got cleared to close before this video started. The agent, we got cleared to close in 3 days on a purchase. The agent goes, "Holy shit." She literally texted Tony, "Holy shit, I can't believe you're cleared to close. How do I get in touch with Bob?" So that's the idea of having the course, the content, the material, the clients that understand that, hey, you know, it's go time once you're under contract.
I mean, you could recruit. It's a recruiting tool too.
Right.
You know, folks, how many lenders are in Denver or like, what's your competition look like?
Oh, just like anywhere, tons.
Yeah. Just like real estate agents, you could trip down the street and run into one. You could run into a mortgage broker. It's like financial planners. We all have a couple friends that are financial planners. But what makes the other ones stand out, dude, it's all brand, you guys. It is all brand and it's continue to be brand. I don't think in 5 years from now, I don't think you could buy leads anymore. I really think it's going to be impossible to buy business in the future because it's going to go to brand, all 100%. It's always been that way though. It's never been different. We just have gotten, I think, distracted in the last 10 years with the shiny objects and the autoresponders and the retargeting and all this stuff. At the end of the day, this is kissing babies and shaking hands, you guys.
Yeah, I agree.
It's relationship nurturing. That's just where people come from for our business. It's just it's not like any other business. It's very unique because we're referral based and that's the difference.
Yeah. So if I could reset, right, I spent probably at least $120,000 on testing different CRMs, learning the course for this, learning course for that. If I could reset and go back 5 years, I would literally only do YouTube and create content and then build out, you know, my websites based on that. I built my website, I made content, I tried autoresponders, I tried Facebook leads, I learned all this, I learned all that. And it's just like, for what, I mean, it's education, I guess, regardless, because you know what you don't want to do anymore. But like you say, the shiny object is like the worst thing to chase. And we all get it because you see that clickbait. Oh, you can get, 20 clients a quarter, by having this sweet URL and this like, Ylopo CRM thing or whatever the case might be. And it's just like, it's brutal. People can tell, what's on automated message or whatever,
You guys, this is why brand is so important, is that if you guys remember, I think it was this year when realtor.com and Zillow switched to like a referral platform, they stopped selling leads and all that. A lot of people I knew were 100% dependent on Zillow for their team's production. And the second that if you rely on something you don't control or own for the sources of your business beyond your brand, you're a house of cards waiting to fail. It's only a matter of time until somebody or something else comes down. And when it comes to lead generation, those lead generation tactics change every 5 to 10 years. Like if you guys remember, door knocking used to be really profitable probably in the 70s. I never door knocked, maybe in the 80s. I don't know. They still do it out here in California. It still works. Open houses were a big strategy for people. Then guess what? COVID came. Right. You can never rely your business or the source of your business on something you don't control. It's just not it's vulnerable. You're vulnerable. Like you're literally, it's just a matter of time until you put yourself in an extremely vulnerable position. I've done it with short sales. I kicked myself in the ass. I went way too deep into short sales. I fucked up my residential business and I paid big time for it. I've done that in a few things. Like I've just learned everything comes back to brand at the end of the day. The real estate market will change. Lead generation will change. What doesn't change is brand ever, because that's where people are going to come from. The stats that haven't changed, folks, are the way that people have chosen their real estate agent in the last 5 to 10 years. And if they have, they've changed very minuscule. And recently it was reported 78% of consumers decide or close with the first agent they meet with. And I guarantee you that number is very similar to lenders as well. The one, speed to lead, is still the most important metric, right? That's never changed. Like you got to be speed to referral though, or speed to prospect, whatever the hell it is. That's always been the key. Bob, what other pieces of advice would you give to anyone here listening that's thinking about, I don't know, building their brand with video and or whatnot? And what other things you got coming up?
Yeah. So learning from the team here, I would say if you're going to start with video, pick one client avatar that you want to go for and create that content first. Don't deviate from it until you have enough to where you can move on to the next thing. So as an example, first-time home buyers, right? Do 12 videos on first-time home buyers and then move on to the next client avatar, whether it's relocating to X town, right? So the theory there is first-time home buyer, if they qualify, they don't have any contingencies to buy a house, right? You can significantly shorten that buying cycle with that type of idea, right?
Yep.
Moving to Denver, or moving to San Diego, moving to Texas, Dallas, whatever. Those people that are moving probably are moving because they have a job, right? So when you move somewhere, you're either buying or renting, or I guess couch surfing too would be a thing, right? So like that's literally cutting down the amount of time between contact and closing is key, because we all know that it's 12 months average. So if you can knock that down with the type of client you're going for and specializing in, you can significantly cut that down, that turn time down to, a month or two possibly, versus going for somebody that needs to sell their house to move up, right? So now you're just adding more time, more extra like effort possibly, and more there's just more things that can happen that can derail a contingent offer or something like that. That would just be my personal take.
And no matter what happens, like you just put yourself in positions that you never planned on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? For conversations you never had, and that just leads to more business opportunities. I was talking to a mortgage broker earlier today, and he's like, it's funny because most mortgage brokers wouldn't go out and do business owner interviews. This guy has a show called What's Cooking. He's a foodie. right? So the name of his show is What's Cooking, and he goes all over the country. He travels a lot, and he'll just go to these restaurants and just do tours. So anyways, he's in California in Orange County, and the first video he ever did, the owner was refinancing. He told me to stay. The owner was refinancing his restaurant. He went back in there, did a video, and he picked up. Now he's got the refi because the local bank was giving him a 3.8 rate, and he's giving him a 2.6. Right. So it's completely, the business folks is always right in front of us. Everyone lives somewhere. Everybody knows someone who's moving. Right. And when you focus on just building your brand and building an audience of people that know who you are, you'll naturally attract business. Unless they don't like you. It's the only time it happens. Bob,
I'll dovetail off that. Like literally, if you get the phone to ring, just tell the person straight up that, hey, the point of this call is to figure out if we're a good fit and then put an action plan together. If we're not, no worries, man. It was 10 minutes on the phone. So what? Like most people are.
Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, wait, he didn't try to close me. I sort of like this guy. I guarantee you that works every time.
So it probably doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me, and quite honestly, we convert pretty high once we get somebody into the application process. We close upwards of, 60% of our applications that even apply, not counting if they don't qualify at the time or whatever. So, there was one metric that we had at one point. We were at like 73% of our credit pulls closed.
It's great. Which is amazing. Dude, thank you, Bob. I appreciate you sharing your story and whatnot. Why don't you, if you guys are looking for a lender, maybe in the Denver area, or you're licensed wherever, right?
Not anymore. So as a broker, I have to have, my licenses in every state, and that's a bear. So here in Denver, we got your back. And if you're in Illinois, we can help you out as well.
Cool, man. Why don't you give everybody your website and channel and they can come check you out?
Yeah. So channel name, well, we just hit 100 subscribers, so we can make that adjustment. So if you just, YouTube, Google search, Bob the Banker, my Google reviews pop up, my websites pop up, all that type of thing. But Denver Banker Bob is my current blog, and we're getting ready to launch Friel-Good-Mortgage.com, which is going to be my corporate website as well. So got a lot of good things happening. So much appreciated to you, Mike, and the team there. You give my brain that's a little bit scattered sometimes focus. And the thing about the system for you guys, honestly, is the fact that, the subscription hits every 15th. So, you have to make your videos, and that's really what keeps me, kind of moving forward.
Nice. Love it, dude. Appreciate it, man. Congrats to your success. And thank you, folks, for listening to another episode of the Real Estate Marketing Dude podcast. Folks, if you want and you're stuck with what to do or say on video, give us a ring. Visit our website, www.realestatemarketingdude.com. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And worst case scenario, check out the content on our website. If you're wondering on how this stuff all works, there's a ton of content in our learning center, or take our course that's online. It'll show you how that stuff works, and then you'll decide whether or not it's right for you. The only time video doesn't work is when people don't like you. And if you're on video and they don't like you, you have the wrong person producing your videos, and you should call me anyways. Visit my website. I will retarget you until we have a conversation. And when we do, I'm going to try to talk you into buying my shit. If not, at least I could add some value to it. And thank you for being a listener. And we love each and every one of you guys. Let's make 2021 a kick-ass year, folks. Let's keep on rolling. And thank you for listening to the show. See you in next week's episode.
Thank you for watching another episode of the Real Estate Marketing Dude podcast. If you need help with video or finding out what your brand is, visit our website at www.realestatemarketingdude.com. We make branding and video content creation simple and do everything for you. So if you have any additional questions, visit the site, download the training, and then schedule time to speak with a dude and get you rolling in your local marketplace. Thanks for watching another episode of the podcast. We'll see you next time.